In mangas and manhwas, you are guaranteed to experience two different things, one of them being the story and the other one being the art style. Now, the art style is super important because it expresses exactly what the story is trying to convey visually. It expresses the intensity of battles, conversations, it expresses emotions, it shows where the characters are actually in. Like, it's important, especially in manhwas where most of them are gonna be in colors, so it's gonna be taking center stage, so it is important. It takes up 50% of what us readers are actually going to experience. And we're going to be looking at 3 different series, and the way I'm going to show you the different art style changes is mostly by showing you what the MC looks like at certain chapters versus other chapters. And the first series we're actually going to be looking at is a pretty familiar one for everyone that actually watches anime. It's called Solo Leveling. Now in the anime there's no art style change, but in the manhwa you could definitely see it. It's not like anything drastic or anything other than the obvious glow up that Sung Jin-woo, the main character of Solo Leveling, had, but it was pretty gradual. This is what the MC looked like the first time we experienced him in chapter 1 versus what he looked like in the later chapters. He looks pretty different other than the obvious glow up. And just to show you how big of a difference it has, I'm going to show you what Sung Jin-woo looked like when he wasn't getting his ass kicked in Cartoon Temple. It looks pretty vibrant, the colors are really popping here versus in chapter 10 where it kind of gets its grounding, its footing, and you could see that it stays pretty consistent. So I found this TikTok on Reddit that basically showed how the art style changed over time, and it's the fact that more emotions were shown at the beginning of the series. There were a lot more silly, goofy, funny panels shown, but as the series progressed and the story progressed, it got a lot more gloomier, a lot darker, and so did Sung Jin-woo, and his loss of emotions were eventually reflected on the art style. But generally, the art style in Solo Leveling just gradually got better over time. The lines got smoother, it looked really cool, and Sung Jin-woo just kind of looked badass. Not to be glazing or anything. Now, the second series we're going to be looking at also has an art style change, but I actually forgot that it happened because it happened so damn early on, and it's called Descended from Divinity. The art style change in this series actually happened all the way back in 2022, and it stayed consistent pretty much ever since, so that's why I don't remember it. This is what the MC looks like in chapter 1 versus the most recent chapters. Comparing it from chapter 1 to chapter 10, there's not really a big of difference. Even from chapter 10 to chapter 15, the MC still looks pretty same. In another 5 chapter difference, it just completely switches up. This is not the same person. These are not the same people. And I pulled up a cool graphic from Reddit and showing the art style change, and the character changes, honestly. Second in command right here, the guy with blonde hair, bro looks like a completely different person. He looks like he's trying to stay in with the trends on the left. Bro just looks like a pretty boy on the right. But the biggest change is his father. Bro looks like a big bear on the left side. Guy on the right, just a grizzled warrior, grizzled veteran that's just been sent to become a politician. But ever since in chapter 20 and onwards, it stayed pretty consistent. And honestly, I could say that I think it's changed for the better. It looks very good. Now, the third series we're going to be looking at is super infamous for its art style change because it didn't happen once, bro. It happened twice. And its name is called the legendary Moonlight Sculptor. This series had a pretty drastic art style change, and I do mean super drastic. The art style itself doesn't change over time like the other series I showed you. It changes actually per season basis. So season 1 has a different artist from season 2, and season 2 has a different artist from season 3. But this is what the art style looks like for season 1. It looks beautiful. Every single panel on here looks like pure concept art. It's unique, it's stylized, it's really good looking. But in season 2, it changed to bring it to a more modern standard. This is what you would see and think of what a modern manhwa kind of looks like, especially in the action series. And again, in season 3, it changed. But honestly, I kind of didn't like that one. Don't tell anybody though. And I pulled another graphic up again from Reddit that shows every single season side by side, and it shows the main character. In season 1, he looks pretty young. In season 2, he looks like he's gotten a little bit older. And for some reason, in season 3, we've gone back to being young again. I don't know what the fuck happened there. I will tell you that my favorite art style, at least in this series, was in season 2, just because I feel like it fit the not just the vibe of the series, but the story itself. It felt a little bit more accessible, especially since back then I was a youngin' who have only read Solo Leveling, and I was fiending for something else. And season 1, I did push through it, but I learned to enjoy that art style. It was really unique, but honestly, I definitely think that season 2 was the better one. I know some people out there will criticize me just because like people literally have dropped this series just because of that art style change. It looks like just another regular schmegular manhwa now. Ugh, I hate it. Bro, just read it. Now, why did the art style change? I don't really know. I know there was like a big gap between season 1 to season 2 and then season 2 to season 3. And artists, I know there's gonna be some scheduling conflicts, especially with how long there was time in between those seasons. Artists will find other work, so that's probably why it did change. But one cool fact I can't tell you about Legendary Moonlight Sculptor is that if season 3's art style looks a little bit familiar to you, you've probably read My Blasted Reincarnated Life, because of the fact that the artist for season 3, his name is Park Jung-yeol, he actually worked on My Blasted Reincarnated Life, or Damn Reincarnation, and season 3. So that's pretty cool. And I only showed you 3 different series, but I think that the art style itself changed for the better for the most part in every single series. Maybe not in Legendary Moonlight Sculptor. Not that I'm dissing or anything. I just didn't like the character design change. But like the Solo Leveling, the art style change, and it got better. It got smoother. It made the fight scenes get so much better. In Descended from Divinity, I think it just made the quality of the whole entire series just jump up in value. And in Legendary Moonlight Sculptor, it kind of gave it a little bit more accessibility, at least for someone who's only read modern manhwas like me. While art is super important, I don't think it should be the reason why you are like held back from reading a series. At least it shouldn't be like the #1 reason. Honestly, bro, I'm just happy whether a series gets a good art style change or a bad art style change. I'm just happy to actually look at something, because I damn well know that I'm not gonna be reading a novel anytime soon.